Thank you again, Chair. Good to proceed.
We're good. Okay, members, thank you for being here for our investment committee today. And thanks to those observing online. I can see quite a few of you there. And I was fearful today. It's a bit hit and miss with them. I hear with train issues, but we're glad to report we are core here in the room. And we have quite a few participants who will be speaking online because they unfortunately couldn't make it in. But we're all here and glad that we're all here. I think the final meeting before recess, and we'll be back in October, I believe, for the next one. So with that being said, 10 o'clock, item number 1, apologies.
Chair, thank you. Prior to today's meeting, we've received apologies from Nicholas Benson-Smith, Claudine Blamey, Deputy Henry Colthurst, Simon Duckworth, Rebecca MacDonald, Deputy Andrea Myers, Gerald Kay, Henry Pollard, and Deputy James Thompson. And Rebecca MacDonald, excuse me, Chair. I'm also conscious that several members will be joining us on Teams today. Your apologies will be recorded for the minutes, but you are observers for today's meeting.
John, can we also, the chief mentioned he will probably not be able to make it because of the issue on the train. So let's mark that. He will try to join at some point.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, item number 2.
Item 2, Chair, are members' declarations on the Code of Conduct and respective items on today's agenda.
Yeah, I did alert you that since I'm a tenant effectively at 160 Aldersgate Street, which is referred to in the private section, I should just mention my possible conflict there.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah, noted. Thank you, Absent. Right, minutes, item number 3.
Chair, thank you. Item 3, minutes from our last meeting on the 27th of May for decision pages 5 through 10.
Any comments or matter of accuracy for the last minutes, members? Not seeing any. Okay, let's move on.
Thank you, Chair. Item 4 is the forward plan and joint report of the Town Clerk, the Chamberlain City Surveyor for information, page 11 through 14.
Right, members. So as ever, we I think we had the opportunity to submit questions for information papers prior. So we'll whiz through these, assuming we haven't had any questions. John, to tell me if we have. Not on this one. Yep. So I'll take that as a read. But if there are any fundamental points to raise, happy to take any. Nope. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Turning to our first material item today, the investment property transactions governance paper, the report of City Surveyor for decision, pages 15 through 20.
Right, Robert, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm hoping this paper will be relatively straightforward. There are 2 parts to it. First part is that at the last committee meeting and the other committees that the paper for investment governance was considered at in February, there was a request to bring back notification of the process that will be adopted in effecting delegation to officers for disposals of properties up to £20 million in value. That is articulated in section 5 of the paper, or paragraph 5. The second part of the of this paper is merely to tidy up a few bits and pieces from the original paper, in that we had the original paper was all about delegation up to £20 million. There was some annotation that wasn't quite hanging together in terms of the standing orders, and it sort of was confusing about whether leaseholds were included or not. So this paper tidies up that point to ensure that leasehold restructurings and disposals up to £20 million are included within the delegation. I have nothing further to add, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. I think that's all pretty self-explanatory. Do we have any questions in the room? Nope. Anyone online? Not seeing any. Okay, thank you, Robert. We can move on. Item number 7, 10 o'clock. 6, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Item 6 is the Treasury Management Update as at the 31st of May 2025. It's report of the Chamberlain for information, page 21 through 44.
Right. Did you want to say anything, Kate? No. Yeah, I think we'll take this one as read. It's our standard Treasury. Yeah, Madish, of course. Yeah.
Report, Chair. Just one quick question. When we were doing projections this time last year with an incoming Labour government, our expectation was that rates were going to come down quite precipitously over 2024 and into 25. That has not happened. Whilst there has been a reduction in rates, it's not been as precipitous as expected. Are we sitting, therefore, on longer cash balances than we expected to in our forecast as a result of higher rates for longer. Thank you.
Sorry, I seem to have one that doesn't actually work. Thank you, Deputy Chair. Yes, interest rates quite interesting. They now don't think there's necessarily going to be a rate cut in August, so rates are sort of slightly tightening. We take a lot of things into account when doing the cash flow, including what's going out the door on the major projects. So in fact, we have been able to make some slightly longer term, 6 to 12 months money at a higher rate than perhaps we would have thought of. But we do take all of that into consideration as we do our dealing each day. We are trying to put some money out for slightly longer, but bearing in mind what we might have to spend, particularly, as I say, on the capital projects coming forward. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. But also from a financial forecasting perspective, because rates have been more resilient, have we accrued more interest since July 2024 than expected?
Without checking the figures, I would say that the answer to that is we've accrued more than we have put into our budget. And I beg your pardon, the Chamberlain has her hand up. I will let her answer the question.
Yeah, Caroline, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. So the answer to that is yes. And members of Finance Committee will see that in the Q1 update as well for this financial year. But certainly a large proportion of the underspend on City Fund was because of being ahead of budget on the interest rates on the cash balances, but also because there was slippage in the capital programme. So we had more money than we were expecting for longer than we expected at higher interest rates.
Thank you, Caroline. Any further questions on that, members? Nope. Okay. Item number 7.
Chair, thank you. Item 7 is the City Surveyor's Department's business plan fourth quarter progress report of the City Surveyor. For information, page 45.
Did you want to say anything quickly? I think I see Alison's got her hand up.
Yeah, I did give notice again, Chair. I don't know if you saw my email. So
I did
that was
very
just
last minute.
not.
Apologies.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Well, I sent it only yesterday, I think. I was concerned under KP 11, where it says that there's an issue with the energy data, which sounds to me slightly worrying. And I wondered if it's about energy use intensity, and I wonder if I could have an explanation about that, because obviously that might apply across portfolio of other departments as well. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Alison. Great question. John, yeah, please.
Yeah, so we had an issue between our data supplier and the industry data supplier. There was I understand, a bit of a legal dispute between the two of them, which prevented us being able to download the full gambit of information. That has now been resolved, and I'm informed that the dashboard will be updated early next week and still include backdated information. So we shouldn't see this again.
So we've got the data, we'll be able to publish it, we'll be able to update our analysis of it as well, from the sound of it. Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thanks, Alison, for the question. Okay, item number 8, risk register. Thank Clark.
Chair, thank you. Item 8 is the risk register for the investment committee. This is a joint report of the City Surveyor and the Chamberlain. Members, this is for decision on page 55 through 102.
Right. Do we want to do a brief intro, Kate or John? Maybe a quick one, Kate.
Yeah, so this is the joint report. You've got the overarching risk register, Appendix A, City Surveyor's risk register, Appendix B, and the Corporate Treasury risk register, Appendix C. We have decreased the cash management risk from 8 to 4 as cash flow modelling has now been developed and is monitored and updated regularly. I'm not sure whether, John, you've got anything you want to add for the City Surveyor side.
Just very briefly, the main changes and our main risks are covered under paragraph 12. And I think it's just useful to note the positive progress in recruitment within the department, which has resulted in slightly lowering of those risk scores in some areas. So,
thanks, John. Kate. Caroline, I saw you had your hand up. Did you want to come in?
It was really just the point that Kate's made, good news over the cash flow forecasting, because that has been quite a while in getting refined and now robust, but feel very comfortable now that we have a good way forward and able to understand the liquidity needs for City Fund and City's estate and members. That links to a later paper on the agenda.
Yep, thank you, Carol. Understood. Marish.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the excellent report. Just on recruitment and retention, are we seeing significant changes in the marketplace for surveyors that sort of underpinned, the risk reduction and our staffing levels, which is fantastic news?
Side, I think that situation is easing insofar as the availability of people to apply for jobs. There is a certain amount of reshaping, if that's the right terminology, going on among some of the agency groups across the UK business, and secondly, in a number of the bigger fund managers, they have not been able to raise capital. Therefore, they're not developing funds. They're not developing capabilities that they might otherwise require, and indeed are finding that they're having to close funds, or funds are coming to the end and not being reintroduced. So the availability of staff is actually increasing. And on the whole, today, our offer is attractive. So an example would be, we recently offered a grade F role, and I think we had 25 different applications, hugely variable quality. And we eventually interviewed 3, as is our normal way, and we've got a good success on that. But so I'm more relaxed today than I was a year ago.
Yeah, I did have one question myself, but David, please come.
Thank you very much. Can I draw everyone's attention to 12B on page 60? I've raised questions about how we deal with external consultants and the quality of some of the advice they give us over the period of construction, including project management. And this report says that the department is taking measures against consultants whose performance fails to meet standards. Can Ola give me a quick burst on what we're actually doing and what will be issued to staff or to consultants in the future to deal with this point?
Okay, thank you. There's probably 2 points there. I think one is the acknowledgements that we've got a skill shortage across the industry, and that's not just us. And that is not just on construction sites, that's our professional services as well. So even though our construction contracts and appointment documents stipulates that all our designs must meet a minimum standard, and we ask them at the end of every stage to confirm on their letter-headed papers that it has met that standard, we're still falling short, which means that we incur additional costs. What we are doing about it, we are looking to see how we can bring better consultants in. We have a one-to-one relationship with most of our consultants at a senior level. We do have a challenge where consultants are not performing to be able to kind of replace them quickly. And that's because of the procurement regulations. We can't just get rid of a consultant 1 week and bring another one in afterwards. So we are working through it, but it is still challenging.
Thank you. David, does that answer your question?
Is there any area you want me to fully expand on?
It's work in progress, isn't it?
It's work in progress, but it's
by the procurement process. But what I'm trying to home in on, and I was trying to do it at the CBB the other day, is what procedures can we try and put in place in the future to try and deal with this, so that we're not constrained by committee systems, by procurement, to ensure that our consultants are giving us the best advice and we can change them when we wish to do so. And what procedures are we putting in place to do that?
So procedures we're putting in place, I think we have to comply with procurement. There's nothing we can do about that. We are constrained there. What we do try and do, if I'm honest with you, is try and work with more SMEs. We get a better service from smaller consultants because we get access to their senior executives who are on the project. But as for committee process, I know colleagues in our commercial team are trying to work through the governance process, but that does hamper us as well. Unlike the commercial world, where if you have a project, you go to the finance director, get it signed off. Sometimes we go to 3 or 4 committees, which adds time and cost to the project. So, but we are working through that.
Thank you. I had one question, probably more for you, Robert or Paul. SMT5, construction price inflation. I see that's still marked 16. Just out of interest, how are you seeing, that develop? Oh, sorry, okay, that might not be for you too. How are we looking on that front? And I see mention of continued insolvencies on contractors. Just a bit of colour on if we're exposed at all, and kind of what the market looks like landscape-wise.
I must be honest, on insolvency starting to improve. We had a period of about 20 months where we had a series of contractors going into administration, and where we struggled to kind of get a hold on is where it's subcontractors going into administration, because we don't have any control over what subcontractors they actually use. We do have an insolvency guidelines which all officers have access to understand what to do, which is get security on site, make sure we have processes in place to get people on board as soon as possible. But we are still exposed in that instance.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, just on inflation, I'm hoping we're seeing the sort of the back end of the impact of the Ukraine energy crisis. So I think inflation is now becoming more sort of back to normal levels, rather than the sort of 18-20% back to sort of 3-4%. So I think that's starting to happen now. That's played through, particularly on Salisbury Square, as you know, David. We've had that discussion on some of the price increases on the subcontract packages, but hopefully things are smoothing out now, Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Right, members, any more questions, or can we take that paper as approved? Yep, okay, let's move on.
Chair, thank you. Item 9, questions whilst in public on matters relating to the work of the committee.
I'm not seeing any, John, and I haven't received any, so I think we can move on.
Thank you, Chair. Item 10, any other business you consider urgent at this point?
No.
Chair, thank you. Item 11, are members content to exclude the public at this point? Thank you. Bear with me. Ken Griffith, switch off the live feed, please.